Peace, 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 peace. It's a blackout message, Yeah, but you probably already know what I look like. It doesn't matter. I was really debating on this before I even wanted to lay down and get some rest. But I feel like I'm good on time. I don't know what's the duration gonna be for this. I most likely will make a part 2 where you can see me visually, but this one really hit me home and really opened me up to a different perspective on life. Let's give honor to Source, the Creator, the Most High, for everything, for the clarity, for the love, for the truth, for the uncomfortable truth, which is clarity, I feel. Yeah, man, huge turning point for a lot of us. I know for me, I feel like a lot of, did I say that already? Yeah, giving honor to ancestors, no. Clap it up for yourself. I appreciate you all for your support, for everything. I'm just honored. Whoa. Now I'm gonna share something that I came across. So shout out to the Hood Healer, if you aren't familiar with her. She something told me to go on IG and just see what gem she had dropped. And I know y'all seen me express myself, rant, whatever it is on my platform and so forth. I appreciate you all, whether who is accepting of it or not. To each their own. Gratitude anyway. I'm going to speak what she had posted. And this is so deep because, I have my rants, but I also have awareness of countering what I say in a way to see the bigger picture. This right here done something to my heart, to my being, to everything. Whoa. Just my whole human experience. As much as, it can seem to, I don't know. No, I don't have it all together. I'm still unlearning and relearning. It's like a child. I'm going to read what she said, and I'm just going to break this down and from my own perspective, from my own experiences, because this is amazing. And it probably will be a lot of clarity for a lot of you that probably are going through something. I would say, honestly, to grieve, if this touches in some type of way, emotionally and so forth, because I'm going to get into things very detailed, when it comes to things traumatically, that could be emotionally, mentally, sexually, and so forth. So, this is what she said. It says, instead of dwelling on who wronged you, step into a sacred space of alchemy and ask yourself, what have they given me? Man, when I read that, I was like, sheesh. It immediately changed my whole perspective on everybody, even because myself, but everybody who represented a version of myself. I was telling someone earlier, it's we can sit around and talk about certain things, how so much people in a way wronged us, but it's as much as we mirror back to them, and if they're not aware at the moment, whether consciously or unconsciously, whatever, and they don't realize how much we are a mirror for their also darkness and insecurities. But that right there, man, I'm going to read the rest of it. I'm going to start from the beginning. Instead of dwelling on who wronged you, step into a sacred space of alchemy and ask yourself, what have they given me? Every energy that enters our field, even the challenging ones, can be a gift. As alchemists, we hold the divine power to transform the illest energies into an opportunity for deeper self-awareness and personal evolution or personal growth. Me adding the personal growth part. But again, same in a way of evolution or, your own personal growth or self-improvement, self-empowerment. Yo, I immediately it really shifted to gratitude for me because a lot of things came up for me. For instance, like y'all heard me talk about my mother and my mother wounds. And when it says, instead of dwelling on who wronged you and step into your sacred space of alchemy and ask, what have they given you? Or where have they given me? And I was like, whoa. And I immediately start countering from what I felt other people wronged me or felt things, trauma or memories came up. But when I asked myself that, what have they given me? I realized wow, even though that was a mother who was going through her own internal experiences and so forth, I realized she gave life to me. You know what I'm saying? She gave the best that she could, and I'm grateful for that. But it's what? Also, it made me reflect on she, even though where she was, whether emotionally and so forth, and had her own abandonment issues, I can look at it and say, what has she given me? And at times where I may not have had shelter as a young boy, or I may not have certain things in a supportive way where, simple things like the basics, like food, shelter, and so forth. And then I look at it from a whole nother perspective. It's she and my, her and my father, they gave me, life, source of the creator, the Most High brought them together and gave me life to be here to speak with y'all, to share with y'all these messages. And even in the part of what have they given me, it's I taking from the lessons of even what she gave. It's let's say the wounded parts of me that still gave me, when I counter it and be grateful, that still gave me the opportunity, as it says, every energy that enters our field, even the challenging ones, can be a gift. And that's why you always see me speak about the generational curse breaker. Now it's a perspective well, what about the generational gift? And, it continues to say, as alchemists, we hold the divine power to transform the illest energies into an opportunity for deeper self-awareness and personal evolution. And I had to literally read that so many times and realize that's what the fuck I've been doing this whole time. A lot of us don't even realize unconsciously. When we haven't given ourselves the grace, to celebrate our milestones, to celebrate the simplest things. We were given a mother and father. We were given these people, some of the most diabolical things have happened. Some of the most, disgusting things, whether sexually, mentally, emotionally. We were given those experiences to literally alchemize it, to transform ourselves, to bring a deeper awareness to ourselves and those around us, to literally evolve, choose to transform, because that's the beauty of I see from the bigger picture how the divine in itself gave me that said mother and father, gave me those lessons from those people just for me to see the opportunity to gain this self-awareness, to gain a more deeper emotional connection with myself. I had to have a mother that was emotionally unavailable or abandoned me, because I realized on a deeper level, she probably didn't have that. So now I, in my experience, see the beauty in the evolution of a flower, growing into something that, I realized that I'm still growing, unlearning, and growing into something that, the person that, that how could I say this, like, that should have protected me, like, when I was a baby or when I was younger. Like, that's the beauty I see from this. It's like how I'm able to realize and see my own personal growth. I feel like we get sidetracked from that, but getting back to the topic at hand, I want you to ponder on that, to realize, what have they given you? I feel like a lot of us carry so much resentment because we maybe did not have the best caregivers. And this is not everyone's story. It's not everyone's life. I speak from a place of, like, for people who didn't have this, but probably want to come into someone else's world and probably have a sense of compassion for them. But when I realized, like, it made me think about people, the opportunities where I did not have a shelter. And people, like, I can reflect and say, wow, they opened their door to me when they didn't have to. So when that question asked me, like, what have they given me? Even in a time when I couldn't give it to my fucking self. That's how deep this is. I couldn't give it to myself. And so sometimes we can focus so much on how we were wrong rather than realizing, like, how that person, even in where they were, they probably was trying to alchemize or trying to learn how to transform themselves through that experience. And this is why I had to learn grace. I didn't know much about grace for a while until an elder had said that. Shout out to I couldn't even get out her name. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Nancy. I don't know if she'll ever see this, but shout out to her for, telling me one day, like, it's almost like she can see within myself, like, see within me to the depths of, like, how much I was harboring when it came to what I was dealing with or have dealt with. And, she was like, you got to learn to give grace to yourself or to other people as well. And I didn't really know what that was until I realized, like, how much at times I was so focused on how much I was treated and, mistreated or, just horribly at times, to where those childhood memories and those things would come up. And I realized, like, wow, is this keeping me from progressing? But I wouldn't be here talking about this, to bring this to your attention, how important it is, as no matter who comes into your life, as it states, like, every energy that enters our fields or our life, people who, come into our lives, those lessons, the challenging things can be a gift. It's not always a curse. It can be a gift. And that's what I had to recognize, like, wow, like, certain people I didn't want to give that narrative to. Now, it doesn't mean, like, you have to be naive. No, it's learning that as you become more, when this opportunity is presented to you to be more self-aware of even who you are, and develop a deeper connection with you and your connection to whatever your high power is, that is a beautiful experience. That's the gift in itself, because you can presently realize that it's me that either has been allowing this or will no longer allow this. So with that, then that's where the self-improvement, the self-development comes into, where you're able to set boundaries. You're able to keep that, those things at a distance to protect your peace. That's the beauty of, like, personal transformation and personal growth. Now, one of the things I realized as I was reading and reflecting on that quote or that statement that she created, is that I realized, like, how much naturally I've had to alchemize and transform, for a lot of us, where we do not give ourselves the, like, grace or credit, give ourselves a pat on the back This is where the self-love comes in, where we actually have to say to ourselves, like, I appreciate myself. I'm grateful. Because no one else could have gotten through what I've gotten through. And I know sometimes we want to yell so much of independence, but that statement in itself, when it says, like, what have they given me? For another experience, for me was, even if it wasn't the best experience with someone that I knew, it still gave me an opportunity to rise above what was said, what was did, how, just so many things. And I always reference, like, the books that I created because, that was some very challenging fucking time, like some challenging moments for me, in creating those self-published books and creating the art, where I felt like a lot of things personally where I did not have the genuine support. I did not have, at that moment, I did not have who I wanted to support me and who I felt should have and so forth. But what that showed me is that it was an opportunity for me. Like, seeing that, going back to that question, what have they given you? And what I'm saying by that is, like, whomever it was in my life currently when I was creating these things, I can see that some people mirror back to me or reflected back to me, like, I'm giving you let's say someone did not support or purchase something. They were giving me an opportunity by their actions to branch out, to step outside of my comfort zone, to literally transform that uncomfortability of whatever emotions that I felt with that person who at that moment, honestly, could have been like, hey, man, I'll do this, or hey, bro. And I allowed that to expand, my horizon by getting out of my comfort zone. And it's not always the easiest, especially, I've spoken before, trying to pioneer certain things and not having the proper representation in said career or said places. And also not having a role model. So it's almost like you're zigzagging through life or walking in things like naked in a way, like metaphorically speaking, like walking in things like with no type of like guidance in a way. So it's like you're learning through the process. So, in another perspective, it's like having to remind myself with that question, like, what have they given me? And it made me also think about, like, the fact of, like, even the ones who did not support, in those challenging moments, I still have to realize, like, let me see, let me see. Even when there wasn't said, let's say, I'll just use from one of my experience, like my partner and, her so-called caregivers or whatever. And, during those times, a lot of people don't know, I maybe have said this in another video, but there was a lot of criticism or attack on my character, or just simply because, which came out of left field for me, was very unexpected, but I kind of already knew intuitively, like, how haters are a part of your success, and how that literally just fueled me to create not just books but also the art, because of what was said by people in those moments of again trying to criticize or talk about, basically try to downplay or devalue my art in a way of like saying I'm not basically this great or amazing artist. But with that, I'm able to see now, like, how I was able to, in those challenging moments, use that anger and that frustration, or even at that moment, which now I'm more aware to realize, like, through my personal improvement or self-improvement, like, none of that shit bothers me no more. But at that moment, I had to use that to create, to transform, to alchemize literally all of that, what they said, and create something monumental, something that's never before seen or happened, something that I never, had to take a risk on, which is, again, something that's never has been done in my lineage, like the self-publishing the books, the entrepreneurship, the doing things online globally. Again, this is just from experience, showing the importance of, personal transformation and being more aware of self, rather than focus on what people have to say or will say. That's what haters gonna do, because internally they hate themselves, so they will criticize your life or try to say whatever it is, but that is the fuel to your success. Because that, whatever their projection is, doesn't mean you have to hate yourself for what gifts you've been given. And that's how I love when she also, saying that every energy that comes into our fields or in our life, people, even the challenging ones can be a gift if you're able to change their perspective on how it is, what it is. So on a bigger picture of that, even though that was said during those moments, I also was like, well, what have they given me? I was like, wow, you know what? The bigger picture from that, I wouldn't have like these beautiful kids if it wasn't for, their mother and or her parents. So I'm able to be like, now in a state of gratitude, to be like, okay, you said what you said, so what? But I'm still grateful, because none of this would have happened had y'all not met and so forth. So I'm able to see from the bigger picture, like, what have they given me? From whether it's coming from a projection of theirs or their insecurities, or even being able to look at it on a grander scale, like, okay, the divine orchestrated all of this. So what are you going to do with it? And that's another thing. When you're able to reflect on your life and see where you are, it can be very deep things that, that you're dealing with. Whether, something you're holding on to, something you don't know how to let go of. And for a lot of you that have battled through and getting through things like depression, repressed and suppressed emotions, childhood traumas, adult traumas, and so forth, ask yourself, what have, like, your caregivers, what have they given you? And what I mean by that is, like, a lot of us don't realize how we inherit these very things, and we're trying to find a solution to it. Okay, in that relationship dynamic, what has it given you an opportunity to do? What can it lead you to do better? I'll tell you one thing is that from those traumatic experiences, or whatever experiences that you had, it gives you an opportunity to be a better you for you. That's one of the greatest things I've realized, is that I was sitting here driving and I was like reflecting on that. I was like, yo, it made me look at the bigger picture from all this. I was like, yo, I was given this body. I was given this opportunity this lifetime. I was, what has the divine given to me? What has source given to me? This voice, this vessel, this knowledge, this wisdom, these gifts. And through that, I will have experience with people who are in conflict with themselves. And so when I am faced with that adversity, I'm able to see the gift now. I'm able to see that even when I've realized that they tried to wrong me, they wronged themselves. So now through that, it's like it's a perspective. I'm able now to transmute that. I'm able now to alchemize that. I'm able now to realize the beauty in how I can rise above any and every circumstances, no matter the storm. I'm able to realize that I'm the rainbow. I'm the gift. I'm able to recognize, to see the opportunity to gain a deeper awareness of me and my own personal evolution, my own personal journey. That's the beauty in all of this. I'm able to realize, like, okay, from all of this, whoa, I was given this vessel, this skin color, and so forth, to be an opportunity to transform that, these things into speaking, using my voice, using my artistry, using my writings, and there's more to come from that. Because the healing journey is a lifelong journey. And when those memories come up, I was given, what have they given me? And that's why I was sitting here like, whoa, as much as I wanted to, I asked the divine, like, cleanse my heart of these things, like, give me the strength to cut ties with what no longer serves me. And I'm like, yo, when I saw that made my whole perspective change on life. I'm able to see the ripple effect to where even when certain people have their deep insecurities, you may have dealt with someone's mother or father or whatever relationship dynamic, and they wasn't as respectful, they wasn't as welcoming, they wasn't as appreciative, they wasn't as embracing. Okay, so what? What have they given you? They're giving you that spouse, that person, or whatever it is, just to mirror back to you. You have the opportunity to love yourself and to be able to reciprocate that with them. If you have kids, and boom, I was grateful because I'm like, okay, I'm able to see, my partner and be like, what has she given me? And, at times, just personally, like, there's things that people don't know about. Coming into my life, when I couldn't give myself certain things, this person was there. And there's others too that did not. So what have they given me? I haven't forgotten. That goes back to, like, when they say pay your dues. Yeah, it's a real thing because, at times where I wanted to forget. Now, forgiveness is one thing, but acceptance is another. But I haven't forgotten, in a sense, because in a way of, like, I'm grateful because I'm able to see now from a different perspective. There were people that did not have to give me shelter. They did not have to give me the support that they did. They did not have to give me certain things. And for those of you that probably are listening that I don't talk to anymore, or you don't see me, I still appreciate you. I'm not the same now. Now, that's the thing about personal growth and evolution, like my own self-improvement, because on the flip side, for certain people that I was in connections with, being that I did not have this, self-awareness that I had then, they can ask themselves, well, what did he give me? For a lot of probably women that went through a lot of things with me where I did not have the awareness of the emotional intelligence I have now, and I was emotionally impulsive, I was drinking or whatever I was doing, they can honestly say, like, well, he gave me an opportunity to show me how to get the F away from him, or how to love myself more. So it's a beautiful thing to where a lot of people come in our lives for us to transmute it, for us to alchemize what we went through, and to be able to celebrate ourselves, to be able to have the strength to walk away, to be able to celebrate. That's a milestone if you have the strength to be able to walk away from something that no longer serves you, just so you can go through an experience of personal improvement and growth, your own evolution that no one really knows the depths of. So there's so many perspectives that can be looked at so many ways. There's people I didn't want to be like, oh, well, what have they given me? Even if the fact of, like, they gave me, like, what they say, a hard time, I can still realize, like, yo, it still is an opportunity there for me to see myself. That's what personal evolution is. That's what growth is, internal growth. That's what a deeper awareness is. Once you can be aware, like, they gave me an opportunity to see myself. My kids, this an opportunity to mirror back to me the things that I did not want to see. So they were given to me. You know, a lot of us have dealt with caregivers or parents and stuff to where we unconsciously carry shame and guilt around the fact of, you know, I was telling someone today, it's like, why did y'all lay down? You know, some of them, why did y'all go out here and have us if you weren't ready for the fact of, like, you didn't face unresolved emotions and traumas? So you gave that to us. We inherited that. And then when we mirror back to you, you're not ready for it. And so that's one of the greatest things that I realized that was given to me, to be able to share my messages, to be able to expand and talk about this, is because I realized why my kids, you know, these kids were given to me to show me parts of myself. Show me parts of myself that I realized that either I haven't shown up or could show up better, so that, you know, things can be reciprocated. But they also were given to me like an authentic love, you know, nothing that's blemished. You know, how many of us are able to see that? Because again, a lot of us carry resentment or carrying around shame and guilt around what our mothers or fathers or what the past relationship or what this person did. I'm not saying that they have to have access. I'm not saying that. But are you able to see the perspective, like, what did they give me? What did they offer me in a way to now I'm able to give to myself? That was one of my greatest fucking lessons, bro. One of my greatest things I can accept is, like, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that I had to recognize, like, you know, learning more about chakra systems and the root chakra. I realized, you know, for some of you that really want to dive deep into certain things like that, you don't have to. I'm not forcing things on anyone. It's just like, if you learn, you can learn. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But when I start learning more about the security, the safety, the balance, or like things financially, emotionally, and so forth that reflects the root chakra, I start to recognize this shit so much to where I start to look at like the patterns of my mom. Because, you know, a lot of things, well, you know, I speak on how things begin with the matriarch. I start to ponder on that. I'm like, yo, hold on, time out. That instability aspect, you know, of, you know, you can see this pattern of someone going to job, the lack of certain things that they may not have, like never feeling stable emotionally and so forth, or a sense of security. And, you know, that shows up in a lot of different ways depending on the chakra system. But the root chakra, for me, I realized that I was called, like, you know, going back to what was given to me, like what did my mom give to me? And I realized that not just from my mom and like from my mom perspective, the matriarchal, but both the father. Like a lot of, if you look at, like, I'm just speaking from my own shit, because it's like literally shattering old timelines and old perspectives or old ways of being. It's like okay, let me stay on the matriarchal part, my mother. Like, when I looked at her life, she has never had, well, she has at that moment, you know, due to, you know, her going through her experiences with drugs or whatever, and, you know, she had places to stay, but there was nothing really sustainable, or like, I realized it reflect her own, you know, aspect of her life, like internally. Like when you talk about the root chakra, those that know about that, it's like it literally is something that is going on within someone, to where, you know, I realized through experiences where it literally was showing me from my childhood how could I say this? How from very young, like I remember going to hotels, I remember going from house, I remember, you know, now knowing a deeper awareness of like how my grandmother was there, you know, so that created an instability, that can create an instability in a child, that emotional abandonment, that false sense of security. And we'll develop this And what I realized, I started to recognize within myself as I become more self-aware and emotionally in tune, I started to realize like this shit was literally mirroring back what I literally energetically inherited from my mom. And I know people probably don't understand things like that, but I'm telling you, certain behavior patterns and certain things, you will realize like you literally at a certain time in your life, what is it? The body keeps the score. I believe in the book it was talking about from the age, what is it? I know it was a very young age to like a certain amount of months that a child literally mirror backs like everything that the mother and father, like around that age to where like 3, 4, they start to mimic or start talking and start saying stuff. So again, we're also receiving things like a sponge and taking on things so young. So again, one thing I had to recognize, and this is tying into like things I had to personally transform or internalize or become aware of where I didn't have a lot of things stably or no, is that a word, stably? Where I realized the instability was, and it really went all the way back to where like so many things happening, going from house to house, her relationship dynamics, what else? Me being hit by a car young, which affected my root chakra, like the base of my spine. So that, again, having to repair that, heal that, do some yoga, do some stretching. And through that process, because if you don't know, most of us keep a lot of trauma is stored in our hips and our hip flexors, because that's the base of our spine. Like the hips is connected to everything, and our spine connects to everything, and everything is connected. So when I asked myself, it's like, what have they given me? And I was like, whoa. And what I realized, like, again, we don't want to believe that, like, or be naive to believe like we in the chakra system, it talks about how things are passed energetically, through the womb or through the lineage. And I've talked about how when your mother and father or people have met, like we don't realize like we literally have behavior patterns. We develop emotional things from our mothers and both fathers, both things patriarchally and matriarchally. And genetically, how our genetic makeup, basically. So, and we carry both bloodlines from our mother and father. So for me, I realized like the instability in my mama root chakra did how she met my dad. And I was like, my sister I had another sister, and she said some wild stuff the other day, months ago, how she was mentioning how like how my dad never had his own place. And I'm like, this man like 50 something. What you mean? And that smacked me in the face like, whoa. Bro never had his own like and that really reflected me like the stableness of like the sense of security. Like he never had his own, like, did he feel worthy? When you look into more of the chakra systems and stuff like that, and spiritually, it literally reflects like certain blockages in our body where things are on the line, and the things that we're literally through behavior patterns where it says whether it's blocked or whether it's operating, we don't even recognize like a lot of things that we have been given, we're reenacting. And certain behavior patterns, certain self-sabotaging behavior patterns. So again, I'm speaking about the fact of like how when my sister said that, like this, oh my God, I was like, yo. And that's one of the things I can honestly say, this is my personal experience. It is what it is. I have nothing to hide. That was one of the greatest things that I've been trying, or in that process of doing, is I realize a lot of us are here to reestablish, restore, and balance those chakra systems within our lineage, within ourselves individually, but within our lineage. within our, and that's how deep, what people don't realize, a lot of things that we're being restored with, where people, let's say like gifts that they have, but they never use them because their certain chakras are blocked, or certain things that they use or they abuse it. So they don't, that how could I say this? They're it's just like a car with no oil, or something that doesn't have, that's not able to move. So it's like things like that in our people energetically in their body, they don't recognize and they're unaware of. So I began to again, realize the importance of like this statement. I was like, yo, what have they given me? And it's not, I can see it from a different perspective, like not just so much of wronged, but so much of what I can make right or transmute, because that was deep for me, bruh. Like, some of us, if you, like a lot of y'all, if you feel called, like to look at the chakra system, and if you dealt with sexual traumas, if you have like certain things, anxiety, these are things that pinpoint certain chakra systems where you can actually, it shows you like a healthy way. If you Google it, ask yourself, like if you're suffering from some type of anxiety, if you're suffering from some type of, I don't even care if it's deep as like people who prostitute. There is a sexual trauma there, I guarantee you. Yeah. Yes. People who overgive, like it's a lot of things that connect to that. We don't even realize unconsciously certain patterns that we're doing, and we're like literally distracting ourselves from feeling the emotion, the trauma, or the experience, just so we don't, because to avoid regulating or know how to even try to regulate the emotion. So again, I look at this from so many different perspectives, to where it's like I'm in this different energy of like, it's not so much at all how I was wrong. It's so much like, now, what did this person or, people come into my life on my journey, what have they given me? What am I able to see? Even through whether it was the best experience or not so good. How could I and I'm poor. I'm gonna tell you, I'm sure, man, I'm telling you, like, this is amazing. Like, I'm telling you, I was so, gosh, bro, it really just hit me different. Like again, the stuff that I just talked to y'all about, it's like to be able to talk about that was one of the biggest things. Like for me was that certain chakra, and then also what the solar plexus, I believe, which is like the creative energy. It can be blocked, with sexual traumas. I'm telling you, just research this thing because I don't have it pulled up, but yes, the heart, the heart chakra, these things are very vital, to feel worthy. I think worthiness and self-confidence is a sacral chakra. And man, let me tell you, that was another one, that I had to realize, like, dealing with I believe what it's called is imposter syndrome, or, feeling worthy of, like, getting what I know I deserve, or feeling worthy of my abundance. Me personally, what my abundance looks like. And it ain't just financially speaking. I'm talking about emotionally, mentally. Like knowing that there's an abundance of, like, I'm in the energy of abundant love, and, and so forth. So for me, I was like, whoa. It brought up a lot for me, having to rebuild my own self-confidence. So again, it's like that perspective of like, what have people given you? They're giving you an opportunity to be better for you. For you to be, I don't care how much people have criticized and said that these things, they're giving you an opportunity to alchemize that shit, to make a better decision, to be better for you. That has been one of my greatest lessons as I became more self-aware. There gonna be so many people that have so much to say just because they don't want to see themselves. Just because you mirror back to them their deepest insecurities. Just because the light within you triggers them. So, man, I'm telling you, like, once I start recognizing certain things within myself, I start to become very aware, like, what it is I need to personally focus on. When you're talking about stability, when you're talking about the creativity, a lot of that stuff, the certain chakras will literally mirror back to you, like certain things like your finances, your stability. For me, one of the biggest things was like growing up in abusive homes, and when I recycled that stuff and not realizing how much it was like obtaining to like that behavior, like literally, because it's almost like I didn't feel worthy of having something stable, or that dysfunctionality or those blockages in it, in that said chakra. Literally, I would, man, my throat and my nose and everything. It literally would basically mirror back to me like the emotional abandonment. There's a list of things where it tell you like connects to the chakras, like just showing you like, whoa, this is what's internally going on with me. This is what I'm reflecting. This experience. This is why I'm in this connection, because this person literally is mirroring back to me something that I need to see within myself. So what have they given me? They can give me this opportunity to see me. They have given me an opportunity to see something greater within myself, so I can see me, so I can show up better for me. So I'm telling you, that's I can rest tonight like with a whole different perspective, a light heart, and realize like, man, I'm honored. I'm grateful to share it. I got to go. Y'all take care of yourself. I don't know. It don't even matter. Y'all take care of yourself, and remember, like, also, like, what have they given you? What have they given me? That's deep. Also yourself too. I gotta ask myself that. What have I given myself? Then that gives me an opportunity to realize like how could I step into that personally. Peace and bliss and shalom.